Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So, good evening and namaste, everyone.
Namaste, Brother Shankara.
Haima, are you prepared to read for us?
Sure, Brother Shankara.
Good, good.
Okay. You want me to start just a few lines before the paragraph on 533? We stopped at
I think just start at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
You know, I
Okay.
mean, it's all been a
Yes.
discussion of how Mother spends her day.
Okay. Sure, I will. At 9 o'clock, the mother offered supper to the master. If the mother was ill or for some other reason could not offer the food, I and Hari and sometimes Nalini would offer the food to the master. The mother taught us a special mantra for offering food to the master. Then the mother took her supper, a couple of luchis with milk in her room. After arranging for Radhu and the others to go to bed, she went to bed at 11 o'clock at night.
So that was the Mother's Day we just finished reading. And the mother, as we can see, was very busy. She was active constantly. And she believed in that. She actually preached it. She said, stay busy. It's good for you. I mean, we know the expression that idle hands are the devil's workshop and all that. And the mother gestured that direction. She just said it was inauspicious and would not serve us well to be idle when we could otherwise be occupied and doing something useful. So we've seen very clearly that the mother was busy all day long, very much participating in the life of that Jairambati, and for that matter, the Udbodhan House, Calcutta residence, although she was less involved sometimes at Udbodhan, because so many people came to see her. She was less involved in the household activities, I mean. So are there any comments or questions about the mother's daily routine as we've gone over it? Anything anyone would like to offer from their own perspective, or any concern or question they'd like to ask?
I think Holy Mother slept very little, like 4 hours or something. Is that correct?
Well, that's that from 11 until 3. That's correct.
So how could she survive with so little sleep?
Dear, this was the mother of the universe. That's the only answer I have. She had access to energy without infinite energy. But I don't think that she was, by her behavior, suggesting that that's the way we should behave, that we should sleep only 4 hours. She and the master both slept very little. There is in Patanjali, there are instructions in chapter 3, the chapter on the powers, for gaining access to that energy, a form of concentration and meditation, samyama, that will give you access to that energy so you also will not need to sleep. But sleep much. But the Swamis recommend against it. They say don't cultivate any of those powers in chapter 3. So it's not that it's beyond the reach of even someone who's capable of concentration and meditation to that extent. That would not be an ordinary human being, but someone who's training themselves to be a yogi could do that. There, if you read chapter 3 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, you'll see there's access to many powers. They're not spiritual powers, they're psychic powers. Thank you for bringing that up, Sham.
Thank you.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
Yeah, I'm obviously not an expert in this, but my sort of reading and theory is that most of us need that much sleep, not just for the body, but for the mind to rest because we are so disturbed. But somebody like Holy Mother and Master, from inside, they were so peaceful that perhaps they didn't feel that exhaustion. I think when I'm exhausted mentally, I feel like I need more sleep. If I'm peaceful mentally, then even less sleep is refreshing enough. And Naveen was telling me his Vipassana experience, and many people who have done Vipassana, they feel like once they've gone through the first 6-7 days of the breath control and the meditation, the last couple of days, they just don't seem to need that much sleep.
I think you put it very well, Swayam. It is, sleep researchers will tell you that the amount of sleep that an ordinary human being needs is to restore order. And of course, the mind and the body are not two different things. So, so yes, you're right. I think what you've gestured at is accurate. And this need for sleep indicates our level of disturbance and distraction, which, as you say, can vary. And so our need for sleep will vary. It's Holy Mother did say this: it's good to have a routine of when you go to bed and when you get up. That's auspicious and a good thing to do, because it trains the body and the mind. It trains the body-mind complex to get its rest during that period. Like everything else, Vivekananda said, the education of the body-mind complex is nothing more than the training of the nerves. Very good. Anything else from anyone?
That's exactly. Similarly, I heard from many people, Brother Shankara, about illumined souls who goes into samadhi and do yoga and meditation a lot. They don't require much sleep. That's what I heard. Exactly what you and Swayam had said similarly.
Yes. And it is very true that those who meditate more will need less, because meditation, the practice of true meditation, concentration and meditation, is called yoga nidra, yoga sleep, and they will need less sleep at night, and they will also dream less, because they have been intimately in contact with their subconscious, and a lot of what happens in sleep when we dream is the subconscious ordering and settling itself, so to speak. If you do that in yoga nidra, then you'll dream less at night. This is a fairly commonplace among those who do practice contemplation, concentration, and meditation. Thank you. Anything else from anyone? All right, we'll begin the subhead on police surveillance.
Yes. Police surveillance. Police officers would come to Holy Mother's home in Jairambati and also Kolpara Ashrama every evening and write down visitors' names and addresses and the purpose of their visits. Even Swami Saradananda had to furnish all this information to the police, which bothered Holy Mother. Brahmachari Gnan had lived in Jairambati for a few years and then contracted malaria. He went to Katihar for a change and lived with Dr. Aghoranath Ghosh, a disciple of the mother. Dr. Ghosh's two younger brothers belonged to the Revolutionary Party and had run away. Thinking that Gnan was associated with them, the police wanted to arrest Brahmachari Gnan and keep him in detention. Dr. Ghosh was a high-ranking government officer and stood security for him. The police allowed Gnan to be free on the condition that whenever required, the doctor would present him before the police. After some months, Gnan decided to return to Jairambati and left Katihar. Holy Mother was then staying at Jagadamba Ashrama. She was happy to see Gnan, who had fully recovered from his ill health. But she knew that he was still under police surveillance and that the doctor was standing security for him for a heavy amount. The ashrama members were against Gnan's staying there. They advised him to return to Katihar until the police freed him unconditionally. They feared that his stay would increase police surveillance on Jairambati and the Kolpara ashramas. However, Holy Mother said, whatever is to happen will happen by the will of the Master. My son will stay with me. Finally, yes.
Pardon me for interrupting.
Sure.
Just notice the mother's bravery and her faith. Whatever's going to happen will happen by the Master's will. We will not fret ourselves about it. We will just go ahead, and my son will stay with me. And this is inspiring to us. And it's a lesson that we can take into various situations and have faith that whatever will happen. And we should do the right thing, not the guarded or inauspicious thing. Thank you, Harma. Please go ahead.
Finally, the monks and Swami Sharadananda, who happened to be at Kolpara, convinced Jnana that for the good of Dr. Ghosh and the ashrama, he should return to Katihar. Jnana went to the mother and explained the whole situation. He told her that Swami Sharadananda approved the plan. When Jnana left, the mother felt so pained that she cried profusely, and it took several days for her to calm herself.
Now, this lets you know how profoundly the mother cared for and loved her children, her disciples. We can take shelter in knowing that all of us who apply to her and make her our own, she will also make us her own. Okay?
A few months after this incident, a police officer from the Shiromanipur police station came to Jairampati to inquire about Brahmachari Jnana. Holy Mother had gotten the news from the village watchman the day before, but she was not worried at all. The next morning, Manindra Babu, a lawyer from Arambagh, who was also a disciple of Holy Mother, came to Jairampati. In the afternoon, the police officer came. Manindra received him cordially, talked to him honestly, and supplied the information that he requested. Meanwhile, Holy Mother served halwa and other sweets as refreshments, even include a beetle roll. The police officer respectfully took the dust of the mother's feet and left. This kind of police harassment and surveillance created an uncertain and fearful atmosphere in Kolpara and Jairampati. The mother was unhappy seeing her innocent children being ill-treated by the police. Swami Nikhilananda described 2 incidents of police harassment. A disciple of Holy Mother, a quiet and spiritually minded young man, was harassed for nothing by the police. One day, as he came out of the shrine room after meditation, the police arrested him and took him away without giving him time to take refreshment. Holy Mother was very sad to hear about it and said, "This was certainly an unjust action on the part of the English. He is one of my good children, and for nothing he is being harassed. He could not take even a little prasad. Will the British rule last long?" Another disciple of the mother was interned with the present writer, Swami Nikhilananda. Unable to bear the rigors of interment, he committed suicide. After the writer's release, he told the mother about the young man's death. With a sigh, she said, "Oh God." With a sigh, she said, "Oh God, how long will you put up with the iniquity of this government. Vibhuti Ghosh, an ardent disciple of the mother, knew Bolanath Banjopachai, the deputy superintendent of police in Bankura. Vibhuti was a school teacher in Bankura, and he visited Holy Mother every weekend. He arranged for Bolanath to visit Holy Mother's ashrama in Jairambati. The officer first came to Shiromanipur police station and then by palanquin to Jairambati. Many monks and devotees received him cordially and showed him around. He saluted the mother with folded hands, and the mother blessed him, saying, "May you attain devotion." Holy Mother arranged for...
Hold on just a moment.
Sure.
What a blessing. When the mother, excuse me, I tried to inhale some tea. It's just one of the bad habits I have. The mother's words could not come true. So when she offered him this blessing, it was absolutely a certainty that he would attain devotion. What a tremendous blessing. I just keep reminding us that we too can ask for this kind of blessing. We can ask the mother if we feel that we don't have enough devotion, we don't feel like we have enough faith, we can apply to the Holy Mother and say, "Mother, please pray this prayer for me." And if you are earnest and sincere, you may believe that it will happen. Thank you, Haima.
Sure, Brother Shankara. He saluted the mother with folded hands, and the mother blessed him, saying, "May you attain devotion." Holy Mother arranged for refreshments of jalebis and sweets on her veranda. While eating, Bolanath asked the mother with a smile, "Are you afraid, mother, of this police inquiry?" "Why would she be afraid?" Vibhuti said. "There is nothing to fear." Holy Mother replied, "Yes, my son, I'm scared." Bolanath said, "Mother, what should you be afraid of? Can you tell me that any innocent devotee has been harassed? Police try to locate political suspects. Don't worry anymore. I shall arrange everything before I leave the police station." While Bolanath was leaving, the mother again blessed him, saying, "My son, may you live long." Afterwards, there were no police inquiries or harassment of the mother's ashramas in Jairambati and Kolpara.
And of course, the mother would attribute this to the master's grace. The master sent Bolanath. He was dealt with respect rather than anything else. And the result was just as it was been read. Afterwards, there were no more police inquiries or harassment of the mother's ashramas in Jairambati and Koalpara.
Next, the mother's... Okay, go ahead, Brother Shankara.
Of course, the British government's rule did last a great deal longer.
Definitely.
It lasted until the mid-1940s. Finally ending, was it 1947?
Yes.
48?
47.
47, that's what I remember.
That's when we got the independence.
And it was a long, very difficult effort by many, many, many people. Who knows just exactly how many? I'm sure there are estimates, I don't know them, of Gandhi's followers and others that did both violent and non-violent. Of course, the most powerful force was Gandhi's. The reason for that is that it stirred the British public. The reporters reported relatively accurately, and Movie Tone News and others produced documentaries and so on that were shown in England, in the United Kingdom, about Gandhiji's movement, and it stirred the British public to the point where the government saw that they must release India or they would be thrown out of office. The people would turn against them. It wasn't that they did it out of the, some of them, of course, did it out of the goodness of their hearts, but most of them did it out of political calculation. And people like Winston Churchill, of course, opposed it to his dying day. Winston Churchill is much respected for his accomplishments, but he also was an asura. He just was our asura, so to speak. So, any comments or questions about any of that, about the government and its treatment of India and the mother's relationship to it?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
even today, is it true that Ramakrishna Mission is not involved in politics in any way? They try to keep aloof from politics.
This is what I am told. As a matter of fact, I once put in our newsletter, this center's newsletter, a notice that it was time to vote and where to get information about the candidates. Nothing more than that. No political leaning of any kind. No encouragement to vote for one candidate or another. Just simply that it was time to vote, and here was the place that you could turn for information about the candidates. And I received an email from Swami Sarada Devi telling me just exactly what you said, Sham, that the Ramakrishna order resolutely avoids all involvement with politics, and for me, please not to put such notices in the newsletter again. And of course, I will not. Swami Sarada Devi is the head minister of this place, and though I can't say honestly I totally agree with him, that's none of my business, whether I agree with him or not. He's asked us not to do it, and we won't do it. So, but what you've said, Sham, is true, and though I know for a fact that various swamis have political opinions, including Sarvadevananda, for all of that, they do not voice them publicly, and they do not they do not involve themselves in any way with politics.
But I think Sister Nivedita herself was removed from the Ramakrishna Mission by Swami Brahmananda, who was the president at that time, because she was openly challenging the British, and he didn't want that. I read somewhere that Sister Nivedita herself was separated from the Ramakrishna mission.
Oh, that is all true. And Brahmananda did that because she was being very outspoken. I mean, you can read it in her writings, in her complete works. She was being very outspoken. And being from the United Kingdom, she had more freedom to do so. But her association with the Ramakrishna mission would endanger the mission, just as we've read in this last subhead about police surveillance and harassment of Jairambati and Koalpura and so on. Yes, there was. And it wasn't long after that she went to the hill country. It wasn't long after that she became ill and left the body. So she had done her job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. The mother's love for the villagers. Haima?
Yes, most people first think of their own self-interest and then think of others. Whereas divine beings always look after others, forgetting themselves. Divine beings are the embodiments of unselfishness, love, and compassion. They can enter the hearts of sufferers, relieve them from their pain and agony, and show them the way to overcome their problems.
I'd like you to read that over from the beginning.
Sure.
Once again.
Yes.
Now, this is Swami Chetanananda, but listen to the promise. Listen to the promise.
The mother's love for the villagers. Most people first think of their own self-interest and then think of others. Whereas divine beings always look after others, forgetting themselves. Divine beings are the embodiments of unselfishness, love, and compassion. They can enter the hearts of sufferers, relieve them from their pain and agony, and show them the way to overcome their problems.
There is the promise. These divine beings can enter our hearts. As a matter of fact, there's, the scriptures tell us that is their abode. But we're going to hear about Mother while still embodied, doing such things. So then, in that case, she would enter someone's heart, as we'll read. Okay, Haima, thank you.
Nivarani Dasi, or Nibuji, was 24 years old when her husband, a roofer, fell from a roof. His back was broken and he became bedridden. He asked Nibuji to go to Holy Mother for help. The mother consoled her, saying, "My child, danger comes to everyone in this world, but one should not be disheartened. Your husband is now not well, so you must find a job and take care of him till he recovers from his injury. Everything will be all right when his injury is healed. Pray to the Master wholeheartedly. Everything will be fine." Holy Mother gave Nibuji some puffed rice and molasses and said, "Take this food and share it with your husband." She also gave Nibuji a new sari because hers was torn. One day, sometime later, Holy Mother said to her, Nibu, Shashi has left his job. Will you work for me? Nibuji faithfully served the mother as a maidservant from that time on. Nibu recalled, I lived with the mother and worked with her, but unfortunately, I did not recognize her divinity. We knew her as our Bamun Didi. She worked on the cowshed, cleaned the cow dung.
What does that mean?
Babun Didi.
What does that mean?
We knew her as our Babun Didi. It's an expression for a respectable person, Didi, like a G, Mahatma Ji or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe Shailesh or some other in Bengal area. Our peers can.
If no one knows, that's fine.
Yeah, Didi is usually is like a G, like Guruji, something like that. I think it's Bamun Didi. That's what it is.
Didi in Hindi is sister.
Sister, okay.
Yeah, but the first word I don't know. Maybe older sister or something.
Yes, Bamun Didi. Yes, something like that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Swayam. She worked in cowshed, cleaned the cow dung, and gave fodder to the cows. She operated the husking machine and made rice. She mopped the mud floor with cow dung and mud paste. She cooked and distributed food to the devotees. Her disciples and devotees called her mother. So I began to call her that also. Gradually, her household began to grow, and she moved from her brother's house to her new house. I cut vegetables with the mother and removed the seeds from tamarinds. Even in her old age, she was never idle. She never asked anyone to do a certain job twice. If that person did not do the work the first time, she herself would do it. Her brothers were not practical and they quarreled among themselves, but they were afraid of their sister. Once an earthen tub cracked that was used for the cows drinking water. When the cowherd told us of this, the mother asked me, Nibu, bring the tub to me and I shall repair it. I asked, is that a woman's job? Mother, do what I say. Bring the tub and collect some mud from the pond. I brought some clay from the edge of the pond and told her that the tub was irreparable and should be thrown away. The mother did not listen to me. She began to repair it and asked me to bring some more clay. Finally, she succeeded. I exclaimed, my goodness, mother, you have fixed it so quickly. How did you do it? She answered with a smile. You said that it could not be done. Now see, it is repaired. I was dumbfounded.
Mother's practicality was beyond measure. She wasn't going to throw anything away that she felt could be repaired. And so she did it herself. What a thing. You know, this reminds me of the story of the master at Dakshineshwar in the Radhakanta temple. An image of Krishna was dropped, and I can't remember if its arm or leg was broken. And this was the time when Mathur Babu was still in charge of Dakshineshwar. And so the consensus among the priests was the image had to be thrown away. And the master told Mathur Babu, nonsense, nonsense. Bring it to me, I will repair it. And he did, and apparently so very, very well. You could not even tell, you could not even see where it had been broken. So, this spirit of repairing things, let's generalize it. When we are broken, we too can be repaired. This is how this little the thing starts, that they will enter our hearts and repair it. And so here's an example of mother repairing something. And there's that example of the master repairing something. Not throwing them away, not discarding them because they're damaged. Very dear, very dear.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
I think in the mother's case, it also shows determination and not giving up when others were telling throw it away. She said, no, I'll fix it. I mean, where there's
Yes,
a
well,
will, there's a way, and just
well,
persistence.
this is the character. This is a characteristic of the divine beings. Of course, their self-determination, and it is a model for us as spiritual aspirants. We too should be self-determined, not be swayed by the opinions of society, even our own family. If we feel within ourselves a strong conviction, we should follow our conviction and not be dissuaded or persuaded by others. This self-determination, you're very right, Swayam. This determination and self-determination is critically important to the spiritual aspirant. Any other comments or questions?
She's definitely an embodiment of forbearance and equanimity, Brother Shankara.
Oh, no question about that.
Yes, she immediately found that lady the job. It just happened at a time where she needed a job, and then the person quit his job with her, and then she hired her,
Right.
which could help her husband so dearly. That was just so wonderful. So wonderful. It's the divine grace, I think. It's right there.
Yes, this whole book is about divine grace in its many, 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 many forms. It's truly incalculable by us. All right.
So many devotees visited the mother every day. Some days she would tell me, Nibu, wash my feet, they're burning. People commit sins and dump them on me. I'm dying from this pain.
Now,
Her
hold on.
Yeah.
It's just as you said a moment ago,
Yes.
forbearance.
Yes.
She
Definitely.
didn't stop them from giving her salutations by taking the dust of her feet, even though it caused her real pain.
That's right.
So there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please go ahead. I'm
Her
dying from this pain. Dying from this pain.
I'm dying from this pain. Her rheumatism was aggravated. I brought akanda leaves, heated them by the side of the wooden stove, and pressed them on her knees. This gave her some relief. The mother was truly a goddess. I did not recognize her true nature, but I served her and she took my service. Now I think of her and I'm waiting for her call. Holy Mother did not like for the monks to offer a higher price for milk because it would drive up the cost and deprive the poor children of the villagers. Once Holy Mother's attendant, Jnanananda, told the milkman, I shall pay 1 rupee for 8 seers of milk, but it must be pure. When mother heard about it, she scolded Jnanananda, saying, "What is this Jnan? Here one can buy 16 seers of milk with 1 rupee, so even poor people can afford to buy milk. Now you have doubled the price. It is a common practice for the milkman to mix water with the milk." Very true. If you increase the price for milk, they will add more water to get more money. That is true.
Mm.
One of Holy Mother's disciples once said, "When the mother is not in Jairambati, the poor people suffer. When the mother is there, she buys their milk and the vegetables they grow around their thatched huts or on the roofs. They get a little money, which helps them to buy some other things. When the mother goes to Calcutta, nobody buys their products. For that reason, the mother returns to Jairambati again and again." How sweet.
Now we read another reason for the mother
Yeah.
returning as often as she did to Jairambati. When she was there, it improved conditions for the people of the village. Again, her practicality. Very practical. And what she said to Gyan, about him offering this high price for the milk. And insisting that it be pure. In other words, not cut with water, not diluted with water. The mother saw immediately what the effect would be on the villagers. And so when she didn't scold much, but when she did, it was for good reason. Okay, dear.
Although Holy Mother never studied Vedanta philosophy, she knew practical Vedanta very well. She practiced and taught it throughout her life. Ramakrishna once said, "One cannot practice religion on an empty stomach. Religion does not function well if the masses are poor." Accordingly, Holy Mother sought to reduce the poverty in her village by creating jobs. She attracted many devotees, doctors, lawyers, teachers, businessmen, and others to her remote village. She was the mother of a large household. Once a wealthy devotee arranged to have a well dug on her property so that the villagers could have pure drinking water. She engaged unemployed Muslims to build and repair the cottages at her residence, and she bought their fruit, vegetables, and molasses. She hired palanquin bearers, bullock cart drivers, and horse carriage drivers for herself and her devotees. She hired poor women from the village to carry luggage for devotees, to make puffed rice, and to husk rice for her household. She gave jobs to women as cooks and maidservants and provided them with room and board. She also bought milk from the local milkmen, sweets from the confectioners, and rice, dal, oil, and spices in large quantities from markets in neighboring villages. During Jagadatri Puja and at other festival times, she hired priests, musicians, yatra parties, and snake charmers to entertain the villagers.
Isn't that something? She really made her village the best it could be. What an example for us.
Definitely.
Don't ignore what's at your doorstep in the way of need.
Yes.
Don't ignore what's at your doorstep in the way of need. Do something for your community, the immediate community. This is the message of Mother's life in this way that we just read. Isn't that something?
Beautiful, Brother Shankara. We still
have another 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Next chapter is Holy Mother's Anger. As a human, Holy Mother sometimes suffered worry and anxiety. She also lost her temper, but only momentarily. Sarala described the mother's anger at Radhu. Once in Jairambati, I saw the mother terribly angry. She was mad at Radhu, who was then 15 or 16 years old. Radhu was running away, and the mother ran after her to punish her. The mother's hair was disheveled in her excitement, and she threatened Radhu, saying, "Today I shall beat you vigorously. Let me see who can protect you." I was extremely frightened and was wondering what would happen. Then the mother caught Radhu, and the latter began to laugh. Do you know what the mother did then? She gently spanked Radhu's back, as if caressing her. I witnessed her terrible anger melt away in the twinkling of an eye. I could not help myself and said to her, "Well, mother, what have you done? You were so angry, and now this is the outcome." The mother was also laughing by then and said, "It's enough. If I punished her, could anyone protect her?" Her anger was like a performance. That was beautiful.
Yes. And this is true of many of the sadhus that I've known in the order. Swami Prabhavananda, Swami Swahananda, Swami Yogatvananda, Swami Aseshananda. Their anger seemed to be a performance. They would flare up in anger, and moments later, it was as if nothing had happened. Well, that's very good. So, next subhead, Holy Mother's compassion for the poor.
Compassion for the poor. Next to love, sympathy is the divinest passion of the human heart, wrote Edmund Burke. Only a generous heart suffers for the
Read that again.
Oh, sure.
Go too fast.
Okay. Holy Mother's compassion for the poor. Next to love, sympathy is the divinest passion of the human heart, wrote Edmund Burke.
And this is what Krishna says.
That's right.
Those who live the joys of others, live them, experience them in their own heart, and suffer with them, he says, they're very dear to him. This is in chapter 6 of the Gita. So this sympathy, this being with others, together. There's empathy, but then there's sympathy. So the root sim means together. Symphony. Making music together. So this is as we live our lives, the more we can cultivate the idea of sympathy and the act of sympathy. It begins with taking a stand for it. It begins with not letting an opportunity to go by when you can be sympathetic. It may be a trivial incident out in the world somewhere. But when you see someone suffering, if there's an opportunity, be sympathetic. Offer, how may I serve? How may I serve? What can I do to make your suffering less? And then, of course, it's always wonderful to laugh along with those who are laughing. Okay, dear.
Okay. Only a generous heart suffers for the misfortunes of others, and only a great soul can absorb another's pain and grief. I'll read that again, Brother Shankara.
Please, yes.
Only a generous heart suffers for the misfortunes of others, and only a great soul can absorb another's pain and grief. It's beautiful.
This is essentially a paraphrase from what Sri Krishna says in the Gita. Okay, go ahead.
In his memoirs, Swami Ishanananda told the story of Lakshmi Das, whom Holy Mother called Majiba, because her husband was a Maji, a boatman. One day, I returned to Jairambati from Kolpara with an elderly woman porter who carried a heavy load of groceries. She put down the load from her head and bowed down to the mother. The mother asked, Majiba, why have you not come here for a long time? The woman replied in a piteous voice, Mother, I am now in great difficulty. I move around various places to earn my livelihood. That is the reason your devotees do not find me to carry their luggage to your place. A few days back, my younger son passed away. At this, the mother exclaimed, What do you say, Majiba? Immediately, the mother's eyes moistened. Having the mother's empathy, that woman gave way to her grief and cried out loudly. The mother sat down near her, pressed her head to a post of the veranda, and began to cry loudly. Hearing her cry, all the men and women of the household rushed there and were dumbfounded seeing that sight. Thus, some time passed. When the intensity of their grief subsided a little, the mother asked Mandakini to bring some coconut oil. When it was brought, she poured it on the woman's head. After having oil rubbed on her head, that woman calmed down as it has a cooling effect. The mother then gave her puffed rice and molasses as refreshments and bade her farewell with tearful eyes, saying, Majiba, come again. It was evident that how that woman had been consoled by the compassionate conduct of the mother. It's beautiful.
Now, what we just read was the summary of what could be in the hands of a great writer like Rabindranath Tagore or some other great writer. A story, a short story, or even a novella. This woman and her life, how she suffered, and how the mother was involved with her. What a beautiful, beautiful story. And so the idea, Swami Chaitanananda's idea, is that we take these things to heart. Take them to heart, that we read them over again, that we not just let them pass and slip away and think, oh, that was wonderful, that was interesting, whatever.
Very nice.
But
Yes.
to make it our own. This is the reason for this book. So it's 9 o'clock, dears. We'll leave
Yes.
it there.
Okay, Brother Shankara. Thank you so much for letting me read.
Oh, well, you're reading very well, dear. You're
Thank you.
reading slowly and clearly and understandably. It's good you're doing it.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
So, is there anything else from anyone that they would like to offer? Any comment, any question, any concern? All right. The world is in great turmoil now, Master. The world is struggling, dear Mother. We, your devotees, we, your loved ones who love you so, implore you, protect us. Nourish us as your children. We know you love all, and we wish to take nothing from others. But the world is dark around us, Mother. The world is very troubled, Master. Look over us lovingly as a mother and father. Support and nourish us as a mother and father. We ask this most humbly in your names and remembering your promises. Om Swaha. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga Durga Durga. May you be safe. May we all be safe. May we all be healthy. May we all be cheerful. May we all have peace of mind. May we all go forward in the Divine Being's loving and protective embrace as our Mother and Father. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Any final thoughts from anyone? All right, dear.
Thanks, everybody.
Remember what Saint Francis of Assisi said.
That's right.
God told him, a kind face is a precious gift. A kind face is a precious gift. If we can offer a kind face to the world, what a precious gift we are giving. Because there's so much unkindness and so much conflict and so much anguish. A kind face is a precious gift. pray for a kind face. Because that, these wonderful remarks by these illumined souls. A kind face is a precious gift to the one wearing the face as well, because that kindness can only come from within. It cannot be pretended. So a kind face is a precious gift to you that you then share with the world. Good night,
Brother
dears.
Shankara?
Yes,
Right.
dear.
Yeah, I just had a thought. The example of Holy Mother and that lady to whom she gave such compassion
Mm-hmm.
is an example. Like you often said that we cannot take away anybody's pain and suffering, but we can certainly support and be compassionate. Now, being the mother of the universe, she could have done miracles or whatever, like so many other, so-called sadhus do, take out gold from their palm and this and that. But mother being so genuine, I guess that lady may have had to work out her karma. So
Well,
she,
dear, the mother will not distort the universe. To these, who knows what she did for that woman, in the act of pouring the coconut oil on her head and rubbing it in. What was she doing? Something comes from the mother's hands. Something comes from the mother's hands. So Lord only knows what it is that the mother was offering that woman with, first of all, her tears and sharing her grief and her anguish, and then offering her something where she put her hands on her and rubbed coconut oil into her head. Who knows, it is said, it had a soothing effect. Yes, I suspect it had a profoundly soothing effect, far beyond the immediate effect of the coconut oil. And there's no reason for us not to ask the mother when we're in anguish for that kind of sympathy and that kind of comfort. What does it mean to look over us lovingly as a mother and father? What does it mean to support and nourish us as a mother and father? This is our prayer. When we say this, that's a prayer. And it's good for us to remember that our every thought is a prayer. Our every thought is a prayer. So when we control our thoughts and concentrate our thoughts and repeat our thoughts, something auspicious happens. Thank you,
thank you.
Swayam, for bringing that up.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
So, good night, dears.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Tonight we will, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we'll continue our study of chapter 13 of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. And our reader on Wednesday nights, very capably, is Swayam. Since my macular degeneration makes it that much harder to read these days. So until the next time we see one another, which is Wednesday or Saturday or Sunday. All right then. Good night, dears.
Thank you.